At 2 a.m., my wife texted a selfie from Vegas. Just married my boss. I answered, excellent. By sunrise, our accounts were frozen. HR had the proof, and when she walked off the plane, handcuffs were waiting. It's funny how they say what happens in Vegas stays there. Sounds great for tourists, but in reality, that's not how it goes. Everything follows you home, often as a hangover, an empty wallet, or in my case, a felony charge for my wife. That message came through at 2:17 a.m. on a Saturday. I was out cold after grinding through a 60-hour work week. My phone buzzed on the nightstand, that annoying sound cutting through my sleep. I reached for it, squinting at the glaring screen. It was from Evelyn, my wife. She was in Vegas for a 3-day marketing conference with a slick guy named Marcus Vance, her boss. The message had a selfie of her looking rosy-cheeked and tipsy, wearing a cheap sequined veil and clutching a champagne bottle. Marcus was next to her, grinning like a goof in a plastic top hat, his arms wrapped around her. And there, where my engagement and wedding rings used to be, she had a gaudy costume jewelry ring. The caption hit hard. Married my boss. Don't wait up. I stared at that photo for what felt like forever. The flashing lights from some Vegas wedding chapel practically sparkled in her eyes. The sheer disrespect was mind-blowing. We'd been married for 6 years, creating a life, a home, a shared history, and she just obliterated it all in a drunken moment of sheer stupidity, sending me evidence of the wreckage. Most guys would have lost it, screaming, throwing things, blowing up her phone for answers. But that's just not me. I'm the CFO of a Fortune 500 company. My career revolves around staying cool and being strategic when a crisis hits. I take a step back, evaluate the situation, pinpoint the risks, and devise a solution. Then my wife suddenly became a problem. Instead of throwing my phone or yelling, I took a screenshot of her text, stored it in a secure folder, and simply replied with one word, perfect. I got out of bed, went to my home office, and started preparing for what felt like a battle. Those hours between 3 a.m. and sunrise ended up being the most productive of my life. My first call? My lawyer, not the corporate guy I usually deal with, but my personal attorney, Simon Reed. He's a tough shark who specializes in high-stakes divorces that often make headlines. When I woke him up, he wasn't too happy at first, but once I explained what was going on, his attitude shifted. She sent you a photo? He asked, now fully alert. Yeah, I said. I saved it. Okay, he replied, with a hint of excitement creeping into his voice. Here's the plan. First, don't reach out to her again. Not through text, not a call, nothing. Second, log into our bank's website right now and freeze every joint account. All of them, checking, savings, credit cards, everything. She's in Vegas with her new husband, burning through your money as we speak. We need to stop the cash flow. While we were on the phone, I logged into our online banking. We had 3 joint credit cards with high limits. I checked the recent transactions and noticed thousands spent in the last 24 hours. A first-class flight to Vegas, a suite at the Bellagio, a $5,000 dinner at a fancy restaurant, and a $10,000 cash advance from a casino ATM. I clicked to freeze all the cards, marking them as possibly compromised, and then froze our joint accounts. The money pipeline was cut off. Done. Good, Simon said. Now this next part is key. What your wife did is not just grounds for divorce. It's also a crime. It's called bigamy, and it's a felony in our state. You get that? I do, I said, feeling a cold determination settle in. We're not just dealing with this as a marital issue, Simon went on. This is a criminal case. I'll talk to a colleague at the district attorney's office first thing Monday morning. But we need more proof than just a text message. That became my next mission. I knew the hotel they were at from the credit card statement, and remembered that many Vegas wedding chapels stream their ceremonies online. I spent about an hour searching for every cheesy wedding chapel near the Bellagio, and then it finally clicked. I found the Starlight Chapel, which featured a watch live option, and they had an archive from the night before with a video labeled Vance Wedding. I couldn't resist clicking on it, and there they were, grainy footage, awful audio, but no mistaking it. Evelyn looked stunning in a white dress, And Marcus? Well, let's just say his suit was a poor fit. They were standing there in front of an Elvis impersonator, exchanging vows and signing the marriage certificate. I downloaded the video, saving it for good measure. But this wasn't just some personal betrayal. It was a corporate one. Marcus Vance wasn't merely my wife's boss. He was my colleague, and we were both angling for the same promotion. He'd just made a massive blunder, getting involved with a subordinate and totally violating our company's code of conduct in the most absurdly public way. Right away, I called David Chun, the head of compliance. Yeah, I woke him up. I laid out everything, saying I discovered a serious violation involving one of our senior execs and a subordinate, which could have major legal and ethical repercussions. And I had the proof. He wanted to meet at 7 a.m. By the time the sun came up, I had everything lined up. Our accounts were frozen, the evidence was secure, and my lawyers were in the loop. Meanwhile, Evelyn and Marcus were probably waking up in their honeymoon suite, blissfully unaware that their lives were about to take a nosedive. The meeting with David in the empty office that Saturday morning was swift and harsh. I laid all the evidence on the table. The text messages, the wedding video, and the credit card statements showing how Marcus had masked company expenses as travel costs for the flight. Chan, as cool as a cucumber, took copies of everything and called the chairman of the board. An emergency video conference was set up within the hour. I wasn't in it, but the results came quick. Marcus Vance was suspended right away, pending further investigation. His accounts were frozen, and he lost access to the company and its systems. By 9 a.m., he was basically a ghost. At the same time, Simon was also working his contacts. He got in touch with someone at the DA's office, and the evidence was solid enough to proceed. A warrant was issued for Evelyn's arrest for bigamy. Plus, Simon pulled a master move by contacting the airport police, giving them the warrant number and Evelyn's flight details for her return on Sunday night. He wanted them waiting at the gate when she arrived to execute the warrant and turn it into a show for everyone to see. But Simon wasn't stopping there. He hired a private investigator to track down Marcus Vance's real wife, Jennifer. By Saturday afternoon, he was on the phone with her, explaining everything and sending proof. The text, the video, and the marriage certificate. Her reaction was explosive. Jennifer Vance wasn't someone to mess with. She came from money and wasted no time in hiring the fiercest divorce attorney in the state. She made it known she'd be at the airport to confront her husband when he got back on Sunday night. The wait turned into this bizarre game of anticipation that dragged through Saturday and Sunday. My phone was buzzing nonstop with frantic calls and texts from Evelyn. The freeze on our accounts clearly impacted her hard. Why aren't my cards working? Did you cancel everything? What's going on? I can't pay for the hotel. Marcus cards are down too. Are we getting kicked out? I stayed silent, just watching the fallout unfold. Come Sunday evening, instead of being at the airport, I was home, glued to a live news feed from a local channel, watching as their helicopter flew overhead. A reporter had caught wind of something breaking at the airport. I saw Evelyn and Marcus' flight pull into the gate. They stepped out, looking exhausted, stressed, and irate. Then, everything shifted. At the gate, they were confronted by two officers in uniform, Jennifer Vance, her face twisted in anger, and a news camera. It was total chaos. The officers approached Evelyn, asking if she was Evelyn Miller. She stuttered out a yes. They told her she was under arrest for bigamy. As they cuffed her, Jennifer stepped forward and slapped Marcus hard across the face, the sound echoing through the terminal. "Congratulations on the wedding, you cheating jerk!" she yelled, and the camera zoomed in on his shocked, flushed face. This was all happening live on TV for the entire city to witness. My wife being led away in handcuffs, while her new husband faced the wrath of his real wife. It couldn't have been a more devastating conclusion to their reckless choices. All I needed to do was send one perfect text and watch everything come apart. That wild weekend in Vegas was a year ago now. The aftermath, both legally and personally, turned into a long, complicated saga that everyone was aware of. But I'd already won the battle before Evelyn even walked in the door. Her arrest was just the tip of the iceberg. She spent 2 nights in jail until her shocked parents came to bail her out. Facing a felony charge with no money, no job, and no friends left, she tried to downplay the wedding as a drunken mistake. But with the signed certificate, the video, and her own texts, that excuse fell flat. In the end, she pleaded no contest to a lesser misdemeanor to avoid jail time, ending up with 2 years of probation, a hefty fine, and 200 hours of community service. Our divorce was quick and ruthless. The bigamy charge gave me a solid advantage. The decree was basically a complete win for me. She relinquished all claims to alimony, my assets, retirement accounts, you name it. She walked away with just her personal belongings and a criminal record. As for Marcus Vance, he wasn't faring well either. He got fired for gross misconduct, and his divorce from Jennifer ended up being one of the costliest in state history. She took everything: house, cars, investment accounts, you name it. The last I heard, he's just a mid-level manager at some small, forgettable company. Meanwhile, my company went through a major reshuffle post-scandal. The board was impressed with how I handled everything and promoted me to that suite-level position Marcus and I had been gunning for. After the divorce, Evelyn kind of disappeared. Her reputable parents were so embarrassed they gave her a choice: move away and start anew or get cut off completely. She chose to leave. Now, she's out there somewhere, working a low-level job, trying to rebuild her life from the aftermath she created. I spotted her about 6 months ago while on a business trip, walking through an airport in a city I don't usually visit. I saw a familiar face at a coffee booth. It was her, wearing a stained apron and a paper hat, looking pale and worn down. She didn't see me. I just walked right past. My revenge wasn't about being angry. It was simply the natural consequence of their actions. They thought they were playing some exciting game of cheating and climbing the corporate ladder. Little did they know, they were up against someone who understood the rules and knew how to come out on top. They sent me a picture of their so-called victory. I simply replied with the bill.